Hi folks, you're with Tacitus Today. Tacitus Today, your pushback channel. Thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about how the deep state and the globalists are ginning up the BLM, cranking up the BLM machine again. I mean, there's a presidential election just over a year away, and so the deep state found that the BLM riots were so helpful last time that they want to re-employ that what they regard as a very successful tactic to undermine and fuck up the democratic process, or the voting process at least. Also, of course, to affect minds and give the illusion that America is awash with super racism and cops are just rando killing black people, which is, of course, quite absurd. Nonetheless, let's have a little look at this. And I just want to sort of how we're being handled and lied to. That's the bit that sort of really annoys me. If indeed it is an unwarranted killing, then show the facts. Put the facts out there. Let's have a look. Is this actually the case? Because if it is, then it should be corrected, and reasonably so, rightfully so. But if it's not a case of rando killing or racist killing or anything like that, then we have to, the question then changes to why are we being told so many lies that it is? So let's go in either direction there, depending on, again, the facts. Now, there was a shooting in the United States. I think it was in Ohio. And the facts of the case, certainly as I understand them, are that a black woman from the projects, like she's got, I think she's 20 or 21 years old. She's already got 3 kids with another one on the way, or 2 kids with another one on the way, perhaps. But she's gone to a store and she's allegedly stolen 2 bottles of alcohol, and the store staff have called police, and they've come along to stop her and question her. Does she have the alcohol or not? Did she steal anything? Does she have a receipt if she's got, and so on? That would be a normal sort of police process to discover the facts here. Maybe she didn't. Maybe it was someone else. Maybe she didn't have the bottles of alcohol. Maybe there was no theft. Maybe there was a misunderstanding. Maybe she, changed her mind. Who knows? But the police are there to ask the questions, and you'd think at the moment it's still not escalated into anything. So she goes to she refuses the police order to stop. Gets in the car and locks the car. So. Now, she could have a conversation, maybe, and wind the window down or something, but she locks the car and the police tell her to get out. She's ordered by the officers. I understand there was 2, and they order her to get out. Now, that's a lawful police directive. When the police say, stop and get out of the car, we want to question you, that is a lawful police directive. It's not unlawful. Nothing unlawful about that at all. Now, she may say, well, look, I don't have any alcohol. There must be a misunderstanding or some confusion here or whatever, and then the matter can be sorted out. Or she did steal the alcohol. They take the alcohol back, return it to the shop, and she maybe gets a warning, or she has to appear in a court for a minor misdemeanor. Now, she's going to appear in a court where no theft actually took place, the goods were returned, there was no damage. Worst case scenario, she's going to get a warning or something like that. There's no chance she's going to get jail time over this. One presupposes she's got a rap sheet on a previous rap sheet, but putting that aside for a moment, this is a minor event. Bit of shoplifting that and again the goods were returned. End of story. Is that how it plays out? Well, no, she refuses the police order to stop and to get out of the car. They repeat the orders a number of times to get. Again, it's completely lawful for the police to do that. Then she starts up the car, and because there's one police officer now standing next to the door and the other in front of the car. No sensible person would want to start up the car and try and drive over a police officer, you would think. But she starts up the car and starts driving towards the police officer. who again orders her to stop, and then shoots shoots a bullet through the windshield, and that is a fatal shot. And I think the black woman dies either at the time or shortly thereafter. Now, this is listed as or is portrayed as a racist killing. I assume that means, therefore, that the police officers are white. I don't know, but it's hard to spot racism anywhere in this. Now, let's have a look at the media coverage. The media coverage is full of emotion and lies. So, headline is "Woman killed, shot dead for shoplifting." Wow, for shoplifting, you shoot someone dead for shoplifting. Oh, wow, that is so over the fucking top. Whoa. But that's not the reality. So that's the headline. Then pregnant woman shot dead by police. So-and-so from some activist group says this is murder of a helpless, defenseless pregnant woman, unborn baby, little unborn baby, pregnant woman, oppressed woman, racism, Nazis, Hitler, shot dead for no reason. And so they gin it up to the max. The facts of her trying to drive a car into the police officer, that's sort of, that's like paragraph number 10 out of 12 paragraphs, and then only mentioned in passing. So they mentioned the killing stayed then straight to her relatives. Her relatives say there was no reason and they demand redress. This is a brutal killing, a racist fucking killing by fucking Hitler. So seriously ginning up here and getting right on with it. And you'd sort of, the emotion that's sort of injected into it, and they've got quotes from black activists saying, this is typical, black people are murdered by the 100 million every second by Nazis, racist Nazis no less, and just goes on and on with the emotion and the ginning up and the quotes from activists and so on. So they're not quoting, they're not saying like, so there's no attempt all across the media. This is all the mainstream media. There's no attempt to portray this factually or accurately. They're ramping and ginning it up to the absolute max, and facts be damned. So it's clearly an organised hustle here that all the media companies, major media companies, are describing it as a horrific racist incident by racist Nazi cops. And to do that, though, they have to tell a lot of lies, and which is what they do. And this is, to my way of thinking, the disturbing part, because it indicates their intent is to create racial division, to sow racial discord, to promote racial discord, to infuse this incident, which is a minor incident in the sense that it began by shoplifting, to infuse this incident with major socio-political significance that has international significance in terms of race relations, policing, and so on, which it doesn't. Now, facts such as, and then there's an added paragraph in nearly most of the stories. This is yet another killing of a series of many disturbing killings by racist white police of black people for minor offences. That's actually not what happened. The woman in question wasn't shot because she shoplifted. She shot because she tried to drive over a cop in a car and refused numerous directives here. Now, the next argument they moved to is, well, the cop shouldn't have been standing in front of the car anyway. Well, she shouldn't have started up the car and tried to drive over him anyway. So, I mean, that can work both ways. So then the next thing is they moved to, which is probably been recently a favourite, saying, look, they know who the woman is. They can pick her up at any time. So why don't they just let her go? Forget about the shoplifter, just let her go. And then they can go around to wherever she lives, later and arrest her then. Why does it have to be an incident? Well, it can easily turn an incident whether they come do it now or later. So that just presupposes that that at some future time it would be much easier to do, much easier to make an arrest or simply to question. But at that point, the evidence wouldn't necessarily be there, so it would be, in fact, more difficult to pursue it later on. The other thing is do they know where the woman lives? Is the driving license and the car registration up to date in terms of addresses? This is something that cops constantly say in the US at least, and also around London in Britain, is that the members of the black community are notorious for not updating their current address. They move address so frequently, the chances of catching them later on or finding them later on are actually quite slim, certainly relative to white people anyway. So that's a difference. So the idea that, well, you can just pick them up later on, it doesn't quite work that way in reality. But it's the amount of lies and the amount of emotional ginning up that every article that I've seen uses, and there's not even the slightest interest in giving a factual account of what occurred, and pretty much every utterance. Racist cops are killing blacks everywhere. That's allowed to just go through. That's stated as if it's a fact. Any assertion, any fact that's in the reverse, such as she tried to drive a car over a cop, that's presented not as she tried to drive, that the cop shouldn't have been standing there and was anyway oppressing the woman by standing there and so so it was that's explained differently. That's still explained as evil cops at work. So you'd come away from reading that, so assuming you read every word carefully, you'd come away from reading that story believing or assuming that what had happened is a bunch of racist white cops were just rando driving around and were just executing black people for the hell of it, which is beyond absurd. And when you look at certainly the stats, the amount of interactions in the US, the amount of interactions between police, whether the police be black or white, interactions between police and shooting a difficult or serious confrontation between the police and the alleged perpetrator, then it's only when the black person either shoots at police or refuses police directives and it ends up in a struggle. That's the only time that black people are being shot. There have been cases where, and only a few, where the black person's tried to run away and police have shot after them, and that the shot to bring them down has ended up being, they've ended up dying later on of those wounds. But I think over the whole of the United States the last few years, there's been sort of 10 or 12 of those. I mean so we're not talking about some organised thing. Now, what was interesting in Ohio is how quickly the Black Lives Matter group got together and how they had a very well choreographed and very well rehearsed chanting routine. So they practiced this for a while. This wasn't just a bunch of randos that got together at the last minute. They were quite well rehearsed. It was a reasonably polished performance, actually, I thought, given that half the people there probably wouldn't be literate anyway. And it was mostly black people. There was some white girls, college kid type age girls, I assume gender studies type hacks and goons. A few rather gay looking white men, but mostly black in this particular march. I don't think it turned into a riot, but it was quite well protected by the police. So this is all part, I think, of ginning up the race hustle card for the upcoming election, to try and give the impression that America is being torn to pieces by difficult race relations that are caused by fascist Nazi white people, white supremacy, Hitler. And I think this is just the beginning of that hustle, which they'll be pushing much harder as the elections come closer. You've been fantastic today. Your pushback, John. Thank you for listening.